This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
If your fashion wish list lives rent-free in your brain, you need to be on Poshmark. With Poshmark, you're shopping millions of listings from thousands of closets, each curated by someone with their own style. Vintage finds, designer pieces, and everyday staples all in one place. Search for your favorites or let the discovery come to you. Poshmark makes it easy to find what you actually want to wear at prices that feel like a quiet win. Download the Poshmark app today and use code PODCAST10 when you sign up to get $10 off your first purchase.
Doesn't it?
Yes, always.
When you force the other person to act, you are the one in control. It is always better to make your opponent come to you, abandoning his own plans of action in the process. Lure him with fabulous gains, then attack. You hold the cards. Isn't that evil?
Broken toes from kicking ass.
That's what I think.
Well, sometimes you are going to break some toes if you're trying to assert power in your life. A lot of other people are not going to like that you are asserting your power. Some people won't get that. But I think this law, even though it's a very short chapter, the basis of the law is that you must be proactive and take control of your own life. And who can really argue that? I mean, that is nothing evil at all. It's your life. It's your decision. You're the authority in your life, and you need to take control and determine whatever course is best for you. Would you agree, Tom?
Absolutely. And you know, when I used this when I was in 7th grade at McNichol Middle School, which was like going to a penitentiary, and John can attest to this. And I remember kids used to like steal your candy and stuff. So maybe in the vindictive kind of kid that I was or person, I went to the magic store and bought super red hots. They were like super like doused in Tabasco sauce. So I had a bag of these super red hots, and meanwhile I had some real red hots. So I was eating the real ones, walking down the hall with this bag kind of open, and knowing that all these kids that I didn't know were going to see me eating the red hots and come in and start sticking their hands in my bag and stealing my candy. So I purposely, I purposely set it up so they all grabbed the red hots, and within a few seconds they were all spitting it out, going ah. It was great.
That was, and I'll bet you they never came up to you again.
No, not those kids, but there was plenty to go around.
Yeah, I remember that. It's amazing we got out alive.
It is. It was like going on an episode of Scared Straight.
But what you described, Tom, is definitely something proactive. But if you think about this in another context, in sports, you hear about the home field advantage.
Mm-hmm.
When the home team is playing in their house, they rule. And when you're an away game, when you're at an away game, you don't have the roar of the crowd. You don't have all that energy and all those good, not to sound like a hippie, but all those good vibes, coming your way and pushing your team to victory.
Right.
It's just a well-known thing. And I think that's really what this law is about. Make the other team come to you and use that to your advantage. That's, this law in most simple terms. And you see it in sports, and my favorite, you see it in mafia movies.
Oh, yeah. I used to love The Sopranos. It was one of my favorite shows. And one of my bosses was actually ran our shop like Tony Soprano.
Did you ever end up with a horse head in your bed?
No, I was on his good side, fortunately. But yeah, he had the whole stick down, and he didn't watch the show. He was from Naples, Italy, smoked a cigar, Just was kind of a wise guy. His father was actually in the mafia, and it was just that's. But the thing is, I was loyal to the guy, and me and a couple of other guys, and he always took care of us. So you have to respect that.
Were you his consigliere?
I was like one of the. I was like one of his lieutenants.
Yeah, I use this. I use this law to get my wife. When we first started dating, I had to kind of feign interest. I could take her earlier, and that made me much more attractive to her.
Does she know this?
If she's listening to this podcast, I guess I gotta go.
The cat is out of the bag.
No, I think she knows. I'm not going to ask her. That's for sure. But I thought I'd be cool, calm, and collected for once, instead of wearing my heart out on a sleeve and showing all my cards to whoever I was dating. Just kind of laid back and let her come to me.
I had the ultimate when I met Jennifer, where there was another girl at work, and there was some flirting in between me and the other girl, and I just started dating Jen, and Jen worked with me too. So one day I'm sitting in my studio, and this girl walks in and goes, "Tom, I want to know what this menage a trois between me and Jennifer and yours going on." And I just sat there like, what? And what it was is Jennifer and her sister worked there, and she had some friends, and this girl said that they were all giving her the evil eye and, kind of being mean to her and stuff like that. So, that competition thing always kind of helps spur it along.
I could just see the little twinkle in your eye come up when she mentions a menage a trois.
I was like, oh.
And really? Are you interested? Going to get you in trouble.
Yeah. She still gets mad at me when she thinks about that girl. In fact, I made her miss curfew because, she had a curfew. I think it was like around 1 a.m. or something. Yeah, because we were already, this is probably, I was probably around 26 around there. And Jen was about 21, maybe I can't remember, somewhere around there. But she had a curfew because she lived at home, and we were all going down to meet at some rock club, and she knew this girl Pam was going to be there, and so she purposely missed her curfew and got in trouble, because she didn't want me to be at this rock club, after hours, and she wasn't with me. I guess she didn't trust me.
Well, you're just building trust at that point.
Yeah.
You weren't married.
No,
so
true.
And it seems like the other girl involved here was really the bait that they mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I never went out with her. I never really did anything other than talk to her at work. But she just, we used to call her Short Shorts Pam, because she'd always come wearing short shorts. So, and she'd always be flirty, and she was just that type of person.
Well, it seemed to work.
Yeah.
You have two beautiful children. You've been married for how long now?
It's going on, let's see, 19 years.
So, it works.
How I remember that is I look at how old my daughter's going to be 18 in a couple days, actually. She'll be 18, and basically she was a honeymoon baby. So it's very easy to figure out how long I've been married.
Well, I think that's probably better than saying, well, I've been married 18 years and my daughter's 17.
Right. I still remember it was the first month Jen had just, we just moved into the apartment together, and I was in the military at the time going through training, and she took the pregnancy test and she peed on the stick, and she goes, "Well, that was quick." And then she started crying, and I was like, "Oh, I guess we're having a baby."
It reminds me of this guy that I used to work with in Georgia. He had a longtime girlfriend, and I asked him when he was going to get married, and his answer was, well, after the first and before the second. It took me a minute, and he was talking about kids. I have to share this because it's so funny. But when my wife and I first conceived, Amanda peed on the stick, came out and said, I'm pregnant, and she was so excited, and as so was I. But it was late at night and getting ready to go to bed, and I'm just sitting there, kind of dumbstruck that I'm going to be a father, and I kind of just stared off in the air, and I was like, I'm going to be a father. And then I looked over at her and I said, I am the father, aren't I? And boy, I got a big slug in the arm.
Yeah.
over that.
That
But,
doesn't go over well.
I knew it was my only chance to pull that joke, my one and only time to pull that joke. Never any doubt. And when you look at my daughter, you would know that I was the dad, but just had to do it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. My daughter facial wise, she looks like Jen, but she does my coloring. You can't deny she's my daughter.
Yeah, I think nature does that on purpose.
Yep.
Anyhow, as I said earlier, this was a short chapter. It starts out sounding very evil, but it's not really evil. It's just being proactive and taking control of the situation and letting people come to you.
Observance of the law.
So the story covering this time, now at least we finally get away from Tesla and Edison, which seem to be dominating the last few chapters. And now we go to Napoleon. So, Napoleon's an interesting dude. And this takes place after he's already caught, and they've basically taken away him being the emperor of France. And what was it, in 1814 they put him in prison, and everyone was kind of like afraid that hey, this guy is gonna he's so powerful that even in prison he's a threat. So he actually had one of his who was his prime minister,
prime minister,
right? Talleyrand. Yep. Yeah, Talleyrand orchestrated this whole thing with to help free Napoleon. And it wasn't because he wanted him free. He didn't like him at all, and he had been plotting against him before his fall. But what he did is he worked with Austria and England, and they decided to let him out, and let him just walk out of prison one day. They had a ship waiting for him, and supposedly the English pursued him and lost his ship. But it was all a ruse just to get him out of the country. And they let him, of course, he went back to France because he's like, I'm just going to take France back over. So he got a ragtag army, walked back in, and people were probably so afraid of the guy that they were like, we better fall in line and join his side again. So his army grew a little bit. There was some conflict, but the king even left. But in the end, France didn't have the money to sustain any war, and Napoleon fell out of favor. Boom, he was back in prison again, and this time he was further away in a place where he could do no one any harm, and that was Talleyrand's real objective. He just wanted to bait him. He knew he would go after trying to be emperor again, and he knew he would fail.
Yeah, what was interesting about that, Tommy, was that I believe it was Talleyrand that told Napoleon, hey, the French people want you back. They will greet you with open arms. You just have to get here and take control.
Yeah, that was his bait. He was,
yeah.
It was him and I think the Austrians, right? That were just teasing him, saying, hey, you're more popular than ever. You went back, you're a shoo-in.
Right, and they played to Napoleon's ego.
Yeah.
Which was much bigger than he was physically.
Do you remember when we were kids, we used to go to, I think it was Walden Books, that in the Hollywood Mall, they had that bookstore, and we'd look at, I think it was the Farmer's Almanac or World Almanac or something. I think it was maybe the World Almanac, but they had like a section in there of sex. And of course, as a little, 11-year-old kid, you're like wanting to read anything. And I remember one of the things in there is that Napoleon supposedly had a 1-inch Peter, and after he died, they removed it and saved it in a jar, and so it's petrified somewhere.
Wow. I don't remember that.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was other facts, but I do remember that from reading that in the book, and kind of stuck with me. Maybe that's why he was so much into conquering. He had something to prove. They didn't have Corvettes back then.
Hey.
Oh, that's right. You have a Corvette, right?
Mine is just fine. It's bigger than an inch. It's not an inchworm. I swear. Never had any complaints.
Good comedy.
Anyhow, we're going to really get ourselves into trouble if we continue on down this chapter, because Tom is asserting himself with this law and using Napoleon's 1-inch penis as bait to get me in trouble.
All right. So do you have anything else to comment on this law, or are we good on this?
I better not.
All right. So I think this is a good
wrap
ending point. And
welcome to a Swift Kicking the Ass podcast.
And see, we do no editing here. I try not to edit the show to try to keep it easy workflow. So if you hear us make mistakes, just go with it. It's better than trying to be perfect, because what do they say? Perfect is the enemy of good.
So make sure that you rate us on iTunes, send us your comments, visit us at www.aswiftkickintheass, and let us know how we're doing. We'd love to hear
from you. For listening to a Swift Kick in the Ass podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's content, and we ask you to please leave us a review in iTunes. Also, head over to aswiftkickintheass.com to get a free copy of the Simple Spending Tool.